Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to look at the chart for Rush Limbaugh. May he rest in peace. If you look to the eastern horizon when he was born using sidereal zodiac, you would see the constellation associated with Capricorn rising at 7 degrees. 7 degrees becomes the most effective point of every house. And so any planet like Venus within 5 degrees or Saturn or Mercury has a lot of impact in the chart. We give a lot of emphasis to multiconal signs, which are 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 11. And wherever they are found in the North Indian chart, those are the areas of life that he came here to learn lessons about in this lifetime. So if we go through those multiconal signs, we see the first sign of Aries, ruled by Mars, in the 4th house. He's learning about family, property. He had 4 marriages. Then he's the 4th sign of Cancer, ruled by Moon, in the 7th house of marriage. Then we have the 5th sign of Leo, ruled by Sun, in the 8th house, dealing with research into political insights and commentary. Then we have the 6th sign of Mercury, Virgo, ruled by Mercury, in the house of good fortune. And then through speech, through commentary. Then we have the 7th sign of Libra, ruled by Venus, in the house of career, giving career focus and charisma. And then we have the 9th sign of Sagittarius in the 12th house, ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter giving learning about addictions and feeling separate, feeling he had to prove himself, self-worth. And then we have the 11th sign of Aquarius in the ruled by Saturn in the 2nd house. 2nd house having to do with persuasive speech and the stability in marriage, again, for marriage. So let's look and see how the planets are operating, and then we'll see when they're operating, and then we'll see what we could do to remedy the chart. So we have Sun in old age. Any planet that's more than 25 degrees or less than 5, like Moon, are said to be in infant state or old age, and they are weak and cannot protect their own significations. Sun is also any planets that multiconal signs that are in the 6th, 8th, or the 12th house. So in this case, it's Sun and Jupiter become malefic along with Rahu and Ketu. They can cause some challenges, either in the birth chart or the transit chart. So Sun is actually also afflicted by Ketu, and it's ruling the 8th house of challenges and research, and placed in the 12th house of spiritual growth through letting go of old patterns or attachments, one of them being addictions. So both these houses have to do with longevity. So longevity is affected. It gives him the ability to research into politics, to have controversial viewpoints, and he was really spent his life. Everyone in his family was a lawyer except for him, and he actually flunked out of college. So a big thing was to try to prove himself to his father. Weak Sun can also give angina and heart issues, which he had. And Sun represents father, and so here we have Sun and Mercury in the same house here. Moon, again, is weak, and it's ruling the house of partnerships and marriage. And so, again, he struggled, it was very sensitive and emotional in relationships, so ended up with 4 marriage. I think it did give him, it's in this house of success, so I think it did give him the ability to connect with the public through his commentaries. He had a large following. And then we have Mars is 28 degrees, old age, but exalted. So it gave him some courage to do, independently do what he did. And then he had very expensive properties. Now Mars rules the house of family life and properties and happiness. So it did give some family issues for marriages being in old age, but a lot of ambition. Mars gives that ambition. It's placed in the first house along with Venus. So, this is giving him a very, very strong, ambitious, but can be controversial personality. Mercury is at 8 degrees, close to the most effective point. It is ruling the house of good fortune, and it's placed in the 12th house. So the 12th house gives good intellect, but very critical. So gave him, good fortune through his speech, controversial, critical speech on politics and many other subjects. It is. This is also the house of higher education. So he did flunk out of college, did not make it through college. Jupiter is at 13 degrees. It's functional malefic, and it is placed in the house of speech and wealth. His estimated wealth is 500 million, and he so give him this controversial speech, but also because it's dispositor Saturn is also weak, because Mercury is weak, its landlord is weak. You can't be any stronger than your landlord. So and it's malefic, and so this gave him wealth and strong speech, but also weight issues. Ups and downs in his weight, and lung cancer, and addictions, cigars, painkillers. He did have back pain, and also Jupiter has to do with hearing, being here in this 12th house. So he was deaf, and he had to have implants to rebuild his hearing. And then he also did go to jail. This is the house of imprisonment for a short time for abusing drugs. Venus is at 28 degrees. It's placed in the first house. So Venus is giving really good, strong personality, charisma, fame for his career. Saturn is at 9 degrees, close to the most effective point. Its dispositor is weak, Mercury, because it's in the 12th house. So it is weak, and it is the indicator, along with the Sun and Jupiter, for longevity. So it gave him wealth through articulate speech. So this is also marital stability. So that was an issue with the 4 marriages. Gave him a lot of discipline and ability to work hard. He, spent a lot of time researching and doing his shows every day, even when he was diagnosed with lung cancer and he had a short time to live. He still tried to work every day. Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu gives desire for this speech and wealth. Ketu gives insights into research, the politics, and the other subjects that he spoke about. But also, it can cause some issues with his credibility, sudden credibility issues. And then Rahu also can probably give some addictions with the drugs. So let's look at the timing of events. So his first radio show was during a Mercury period, all about communications and controversial speech. He had these hearing issues in 2001 where he had the surgery. That was during a Jupiter period. In 2003, went into rehab during a Sun period. So Sun is here placed in the house of institutional or institutions for the drug rehab. Then in 2009, he had some chest issues, chest pain, angina. I think that was during a Sun-Jupiter period, both having to do with longevity and kind of predictors for his health issues. He was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer in 2000, early 2020. During a Sun-Jupiter period. Again, Sun having to do and Jupiter having to do with longevity. Sun is connected to the lungs. And then he died just on February 17th during a Sun-Saturn period. Saturn, again, longevity. Sun is longevity. And if we look at the transit chart at that time, we see that Rahu is afflicting Jupiter. So, Jupiter being end of life. So he also got that Presidential Medal of Freedom, I think, in November from Donald Trump. So had a really long, successful career. I think Venus would be a big part of that. So what could we do to improve the quality of the chart? Well, he did a lot of charity work. So he was involved in a lot of charities for, his type of lung cancer and different things like that. So that would be appeasing Rahu and Ketu and probably Jupiter as well as Sun. What could, and then strengthening the weaker planets, Moon wearing a pearl, and Jupiter wearing yellow sapphire, Venus wearing a diamond, probably was wearing a diamond, Saturn blue sapphire, and let's see here, Mercury an emerald. Or he could wear a kavash, which is a locket containing the Devata yantras for his benefic planets that needed strengthening. So these are the main points of Rush Limbaugh's chart. May he rest in peace. And thank you for listening.